Okay, great. So, hello everybody. I'm Ashley Algersma. I'm a member of the events team at Squist here, and welcome to our AMA event with Microsoft today. Before we begin the event, I would like to start with a land acknowledgement. We would like to take a moment to reflect on our connection to the land and thank the traditional guardians of the land on which we at Squist Vancouver live and work. Vancouver is on the unceded ancestral and traditional lands of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, Seychelles, and Squamish and the indigenous people of Turtle Island. A few housekeeping rules also before we begin. Please remember that this event will be video recorded, so if you don't want your video on the final recording, please turn your video off. Also, we all take the oath to keep our mobile muted, our phone. Make sure we don't want to hear your phones while we're going through this event. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat box, and they will be asked to our speakers. In our agenda, we have our introduction, which is right now, and then our panel discussion will last 30 minutes. After that, we'll have a networking blitz where you'll have opportunities to ask the panelists one-on or in breakout rooms any questions you have, and then we'll end with closing remarks, and we should end by 1 o'clock. So I'll let our speakers introduce themselves now, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Ashley. My name is Amy Siebenthaler. I'm a university data and applied science recruiter, PhD recruiter here at Microsoft. I've been supporting this space within recruiting for about 4 years now, and previous spaces within university before that. I support our hiring efforts in both Canada and the Americas, so in the United States and Mexico as well, for PhD candidates looking for data science and applied science internship and full-time opportunities. Outside of that, I've also supported our research opportunities, as well as some other spaces in hardware design and software engineering. So if you do have questions about Microsoft research or more traditional product internships, full-time opportunities, I'm happy to answer questions about that as well.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, all. I'm Sharon. I'm an industry recruiter here at Microsoft. I do actually sit here in Vancouver, and my focus is more around the senior role. So I would probably say the principal level band, so more tenured talent. And like I said, support all of our teams in Vancouver. I also support the Bay Area. And roles that I typically recruit for are data science roles at an industry level, and then the typical developers, engineers, program managers, and things like that. So nice to meet you all and have you all here today for this session.
Thank you. So our first question here is, can you tell us a little bit more about what your company is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of you are probably familiar with Microsoft. We are a global company. And so I wanted to talk maybe a little bit more about what Microsoft Vancouver is specifically, because I think that'll pertain to most of you. Microsoft Vancouver, we have an engineering development center here, and we are home to software engineers, designers, program managers, and data scientists. And basically we collaborate to create a wide variety of software products and services across more than a dozen teams here in Vancouver. The exciting thing about Vancouver, you may have seen in various articles or even on social media, we've had a lot of growth and expansion in this last year across all different roles at all different levels. So it's a super exciting time for us here in Vancouver. We have the Coalition, which is actually Vancouver's gaming office and is responsible for the Gears of War game franchise. And then the rest of Vancouver, basically we have developers working on leading different types of applications in intelligent communications, Office, Azure, OneDrive, Microsoft News, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science-driven solutions. We also have mixed reality applications, including Dynamics 365 guides for HoloLens. So that's a bit about Microsoft Vancouver. Amy, did you have anything you'd like to add?
I think that's a great overview. I think when we think about Microsoft research in terms of PhD candidates looking for internship or full-time opportunities, in Canada specifically, they're going to be in our Montreal office. That's just something to keep note of. We do have internships for our product teams, many of which Sharon mentioned, in our Vancouver office, but the peer theory research through Microsoft Research is going to be based out of our Montreal office. So I do like to just make note of that as well.
Thank you. So could you tell us a little bit more about what your company is doing for research and development?
Yeah, so when we think about research and development at Microsoft, there's a ton of different opportunities for this. So you have your more traditional theory-based research opportunities in Microsoft Research that are going to be actively publishing. The internship, a lot of times the goal in that is to also publish. While you're a full-time employee or in a postdoc opportunity at Microsoft, you often are publishing, attending academic conferences on a more regular basis. Although we do also have research opportunities in some of our product teams. This is mainly in our cognition space within computer vision, and also some of our natural language processing, speech recognition teams as well that are doing some really amazing research. Microsoft has also moved into a much larger space in the healthcare space. So if you're really interested in that, I suggest looking at some of the pretty great opportunities in that space. Sometimes we don't traditionally think of Microsoft when we think of healthcare, but it's a growing space and there's a lot of really great opportunities both on the research end and on the data and applied science space as well. Something I do like to mention is that we have postdoc opportunities as well. So if you are in a PhD program and you're not sure about, fully committing to a full-time researcher opportunity, you're looking to gain more experience coming out of your PhD program, test out what industry is like, but not fully kind of commit, do a couple years in that research, maybe go back and into more of an academic setting afterwards, or do your postdoc and then realize that really industry is your setting. Microsoft does offer a postdoc. It's much like an academic postdoc. It's fixed term. So you come in, you work on your research problem, but we really have research kind of across a ton of different spaces. So reinforcement learning, natural language processing, natural language understanding, computer vision, deep learning, like I mentioned, healthcare, genomics, a lot of hardware as well, optics, this is me just trying to think off the top of my head, quantum as well. So there's a ton of different areas where Microsoft is digging deep for research, both on the theory end and also in the applied setting. So if you're thinking, hey, I really like the idea of applying my research to something that's going to, be used by millions and millions of people, product-based research is a really amazing space to consider as well, because you are still doing novel research that's going to be applied in that setting. Sometimes the way I like to explain the difference between kind of your more theory end is sometimes products actually start in Microsoft Research. So you like to use the HoloLens as an example. That originally started in Microsoft Research many, many years ago, and now it's a product in fruition. So people who are doing research for that mainly sit within our product teams now, but there is some cross collaboration happening with MSR in our Microsoft Research function. So a lot of times it's very early innovation on the theory end within Microsoft Research, and then our product teams, it's more applied research, but you still have the opportunity to publish and attend academic conferences in the product side too. So I do like to mention that, especially while we're working with students who are considering opportunities where they can still publish, attend academic conferences.
Okay, thank you. Could you tell us what your experience working in industry is like and how the transition from academia to industry was for you?
So I'm on the recruiting end, so I'll talk a little bit more from the experience of different candidates that I've worked with. Like I mentioned, the postdoc opportunity is a really good spot. If you're kind of in between determining what you want to do next, you're looking to get more of that research experience. So I always recommend if you're at that full-time joint and you're kind of determining between the two, that's a good space to kind of think through. Internships are an awesome opportunity to get your feet wet. Try out industry, see if it's something you're interested in. It's typically a 3-month commitment. So at that point, really, you're trying something out. You're seeing if this is a good setting for you to transition from academia into more of an industry setting. I would say Microsoft does have still quite a bit of opportunity to do that kind of peer research more on the academic end, and that falls within our Microsoft Research group. And then in data and applied science, like I mentioned, you still do occasionally have the opportunity to publish, but it's a slightly different setting. So if you really are looking to be more in that applied setting, working on really large scale data sets, then we kind of think of that transition's a little bit different. you're still applying your skills that you learned, but it's more directed at a product and an end goal within that, rather than coming up with an idea and researching that kind of end to end, which is where I kind of think of the academic setting is a bit more in that setting. I found that, like I mentioned, doing an internship or a postdoc before kind of into that full-time space really does help you kind of get that experience, whether your internship is at Microsoft or at another tech, fintech, biotech, et cetera company. At least you're getting your experience and seeing what it's like to work outside of, pure research in an academic setting. So I always think that's a good way to kind of look at it as well. But again, it's not fully pulling you out of academia, because you still have the opportunity to attend academic conferences when relevant to the work you're doing. If you're publishing, speaking, etc. Microsoft also has a ton of opportunities internally. So we have a data science conference. Microsoft Research did their research symposium for the very first time, and this is also publicly available. And so we also have conferences that you can attend internally, and training that you can do in that setting too, to kind of keep you in the know with what's going on in the space you're interested in. So I find that that helps with the transition in addition to internships.
Thank you. Sharon, sorry, was there anything you wanted to add to that or the previous question?
No, Amy's killing it, so I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So our next question is, could you tell us a little bit more about how to network and build relationships with these connections to make a concrete career role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to do this, especially if you're attending an academic conference, a talk, something like that. Connecting with different individuals from Microsoft or any company that you're interested in is going to be a really useful space for yourself for the long term, right? Even if it's not for the immediate, connecting with the individuals real time is going to be useful. So if you're attending a virtual conference, or at the point when conferences do come back in person, going up, meeting at either the booth, talking to them when they're, presenting at a poster session, asking questions when they're doing an oral presentation, et cetera, is going to be a really good place. So even if the researcher or the person within the product team, the developer, the engineer, the data scientist, isn't in the exact field you're interested in, any connection is going to be useful, right? Because they're going to have a much better understanding of what the internal structure of the company looks like than from the outside you're going to be able to understand. So you may be really interested in something that this individual isn't working on, but they likely know of the teams that are working on this. They might be willing to connect you with someone. I would also say, while you're in the academic setting, your professors likely have previous former students that they advised who are now at different academic and industry institutions, where they will also have connections. Similar concept here. Even if that student or former student who's now an employee at that company is not necessarily working in the area that you're interested in or thinking you want to really dive into, they likely know others who are in that space. So any networking that you can do, whether it's directly in the area you're interested in or in other areas, is going to be beneficial, because, like I said, they likely have a better understanding of the internal structure and how you might be able to get connected in that sense. I would also say, I know at Microsoft, for students kind of at all levels of education, we have a webinar series that we do, and this is posted through our career website. And so we'll do different opportunities here, where sometimes we'll do panelists, where we have different data scientists and applied scientists from across the company who are coming in and talking about their experience. A lot of times I pose the industry to academic question to them as well, because it's really good to hear firsthand from an engineer what that's been like, or even, moving from academic research into, yes, peer research and MSR, but still in the function of an industry company, right? So it's always good to kind of be on the lookout for what different opportunities have in that setting as well. So I'd say, connecting with your peers, your professors, and then at academic conferences as well, I think are really good ways that you can continue to kind of build your network. Sharon, if you have anything to add, feel free to jump in as well.
Yeah, no, that was great. The only one other piece that I would probably recommend is leverage LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of great groups and associations that are aligned to specific industries. So don't feel like you have to know somebody or meet somebody face to face to make a connection, especially in this world of our pandemic. So if you don't already have a LinkedIn profile, I strongly encourage you to set one up and start joining these various groups and associations, and reach out to people and ask for maybe 15 minutes of their time to understand what their story was, what was their path that they took, from their perspective, what were some pros and cons. And then lastly, just from some of the avenues that Amy shared and even through LinkedIn, find yourself some mentors, whether it's a professor, somebody who's already in the industry, maybe somebody you meet through one of these groups or associations, or events. Don't feel like you have to have one mentor. I always encourage, talk to a few different people. Everybody has a different story and a different take, and you don't know who you might be in line with, but it's just about being more informed. So find yourself some mentors, and certainly use LinkedIn. It's a professional network that's set up, and it's just got so much potential on there. It's a great way to start as well.
Thank you. So as we know, internship opportunities can be one of the best routes to step into alternative career paths. So could you tell us a little bit more? We can start with programs for students.
Yeah. So Microsoft has internship and co-op opportunities depending on kind of your university requirements and your advisor as well, because of course, sometimes the timing is slightly different on the PhD end. And so we hire interns at any point throughout their PhD program. So early in, as well as kind of towards the end of your PhD, because sometimes timeline depends on the research that you're completing, as well as your exams, et cetera. So you have to kind of, we're a little bit more flexible on that end. I would say both with Microsoft Research and also our product-based internships. I would say Microsoft Research tends to be slightly more flexible with their internship program on where within your academic setting you are, in like which year you are within your PhD, how far out you are from graduation, just because product teams are often looking at the end of the internship to extend a full-time opportunity. That being said, about 50% of my data and applied science interns were looking for full-time opportunities at the end of their internship this last summer, and about 50% were looking for a second internship and to kind of continue that growth within the intern space. And so majority of our internships at Microsoft are 12 weeks in length, and they're over the summer months, so May to August or June to September, depending on your school's academic calendar. And the last 2 summers, they've been completely remote and virtual. And next summer, we have not determined for summer 2022 what we will be doing. My guess would be sometime early 2022, they'll make that determination. But either, regardless if it's a virtual setting, a hybrid setting, there's a ton of opportunity for growth in that. You have a manager and a mentor. So this is kind of going off of what Sharon was saying. A really great support system to set you up to learn about this. There's a ton of networking opportunities when you're working at Microsoft that, we as a recruiting function set up so that you can learn and grow and meet other teams, because especially when you're going through the interview process, you don't necessarily know all of the available options, right? A lot of times when you're applying to a very general position, you're being considered for a ton of different teams. And then kind of as you move through the process, it's like a big funnel. It starts out really broad, and then it becomes more specific. But once you're actually at Microsoft meeting different, students who are in different internships, meeting different hiring managers and team members, then you probably get a much better understanding of what might be the best alignment as well. So internship is definitely our largest opportunity for students who are looking to try something out while they're in education. We also have postdoc opportunities, which I've mentioned. So after you complete your PhD, this is a great opportunity as well. Outside of that, we have our more traditional full-time positions in research, data science, applied science. And again, these still have a relatively flexible start for students because your graduation tends to be relatively flexible as well. And then another program that I like to highlight, although it is based in our Cambridge, Massachusetts office, so not in Canada, but it is a cool opportunity because it's our Microsoft AI Development and Acceleration program. And so this program is open to undergrad, master's, and PhD students. It's rotational, and so you get to try out 4 different teams within Microsoft while you're a full-time employee. So your first 2 years of employment, you do 6-month stints in each of these teams working on AI-related problems. about 80% of your time is working on that traditional project. About 20% of your time is continuing education, which is kind of a cool space to be in. And by continued education, we mean attending conferences, going to talks, learning what other teams are doing. So it's not necessarily you're going back to school, but education within the job, which is a nice space. And again, those are program manager opportunities, data scientist opportunities, and software engineering. Your cohort, typically the size is anywhere from about 30 to 40 students in total that we're hiring into this program. And then once you're in it, you kind of are in smaller cohort segments to work on these projects. Projects are pitched to the program from internal teams at Microsoft. And so you do get to have a lot more autonomy over what you're potentially working on, which is a pretty cool space too. And I find this to be like kind of a good stepping stone outside coming from academics into an industry setting. I did happen to see the question pop up if we're only hiring PhD candidates into internships. No, actually majority of our interns who are in software engineering, data and applied science, program manager opportunities are undergrad or master's students, with a small percentage being PhD candidates relative to the larger pool. But I would say if you're looking for a peer research internship through Microsoft Research, that is going to be much heavier on the PhD side. I would say about 95% of our peer research interns are PhD candidates. But the product-based data science, applied science, software engineering internships are definitely open for undergraduate, master's candidates, and highly encouraged for those populations as well. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover in the internship space? Sharon, you're welcome to jump into, but I know you're mostly on the industry side.
I think Ashley is stuck. I cannot see. Ashley, can you hear me? Okay, I think Ashley, probably her internet has a problem. So I will, Vanita has raised hand. So Vanita, if you would like to ask question, please go ahead and mute yourself.
Yeah, and I wish you guys have this program when I was doing my graduate program, because my interest, I did economics and computer science for my undergrad, and I wanted to continue with that blend, but it wasn't that popular. And my focus at that time was artificial intelligence and neural networks, because I liked the econometrics part and playing with data and stuff, but there was not really much there for me like today. That was 35 years ago. But anyway, my question is, this is a great program you guys have to get people out the door. You know, I've been a champion for co-ops and internship because that's how people learn fast. I'm also very well vested into the immigrant ecosystem in Canada, especially in Manitoba. So do you guys partner with other organizations to recruit for internship, like, you know, other post-secondary institutions do, for example? Because like Noin said, yeah, I'm with the U of W Red River, and during their career week, you know, they like, you know, companies to come out and talk about what they do, or partner with some establishment like, you know, Manitoba Immigration Center, African Community, just so people, you can let people know, because people don't know this. So where do they know this? Like, so if we have a career fair, do you guys partner to talk about this to the people who need to hear it?
So we do attend career fairs, both at universities, conferences, and then also support and sponsor different organizations and institutions. Some of the larger conferences, like outside of like academic conferences, but you know, Grace Hopper, we attend larger conferences like that too, where we're supporting their career fairs. But yes, there are definitely opportunities where we can do presentations like this and attend career fairs. It just kind of depends on the opportunities and the time of the year. For university students, typically for internship opportunities, we tend to open those kind of late July, early August, and then recruit through about January, February time period. It's a rolling basis, so it depends on once we've filled all of our opportunities, but it's just a matter of timing. But we definitely do support attending different organizations and institutions, yes.
So in terms of the, like how many openings do you have, or it depends a year?
Yeah, so that depends on the year and the organization. And so we don't necessarily have a specific number. It changes pretty frequently year by year. But I would say as long as the job is posted for university students, then that means we're still actively looking for candidates to fill those opportunities. And as I mentioned, the opportunities are posted very broadly, and the intention behind this is to not have students applying for 20, 30, 40, 50 positions. So instead, they apply once for all software engineering opportunities, once for all data science opportunities, essentially, and then they're considered for any team that currently has an opening. And so if anyone were to read the job descriptions, they're very broad, but again, this is intentional so that you're not applying to tons of positions. You can just be considered right off the bat for all opportunities.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Vanita, for your question. And now we can move towards our next question. I don't see Ashley here. I think her internet had problem. So I will take it from here. And our next question, we have actually 2 questions from audience also. I will take those questions first, I guess. We have one question from Crystal, and Crystal is asking about, she's very passionate about opportunity of working with Microsoft. Of course, Crystal, we all are, right? So she's a recent graduate of Web Development Diploma of Lighthouse Labs. And she also has a Master of Education in Linguistics from SFU. She is wondering if she is eligible for the internship, new grad program, the Microsoft Aspire program, or any other channel. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great question. So after you've completed your degree program, you're no longer eligible for internship opportunities. Essentially, you have to be returning to education. So the way I like to think about it is anyone who's eligible for summer internships, summer 2022, typically would be graduating December of 2022 and beyond. Microsoft Aspire program, though, is for all new hires into Microsoft. And this is a 2-year program that you're automatically enrolled in. And then, of course, you could opt out if you chose to. And it's to support in the transition from academics into industry, help you build out your network, see what all opportunities look like across Microsoft. They have a couple big conferences that they're doing virtually right now for kind of all the new grads who've started within a certain period of time. So yes, you would still be eligible for the Aspire program up to 1 year after you've completed your degree, if you got hired and started essentially within 1 year of completing your degree.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. Sharon, you want to add something here?
No, that's good.
I will go to the next question. I was muted, I realized. So now I'm unmuted. I will go to the next question we have from Kulpreet. And she is asking, does UX, I don't know, or user research. Okay, I am not familiar with this terminology, but anyway, does UX or user research come under product role? And do you know if there are UX research internship opportunities in Canada? She is a PhD student in neuroscience and have seen a lot of people transition into this field, but most of these jobs are in US. I was wondering about if there are possible opportunities like similar in Canada too. Thank you. So Amy or Sharon, whoever wants to go first.
Sharon, do you know much about UX opportunities in Canada?
Yes, we do have UX roles here all across, well, I would say more so in Vancouver, just because that's our development center. And we do bring on designers as part of our internship programs as well. So definitely what I would recommend is continue to check our website to see what our current openings are. And we have hired interns previously and new grads, of course, for those roles. And we're in an expansion stage here too. So I think traditionally we did see a lot of roles landing in our main campus, which is in Redmond, Washington, just across the border. But we're starting to see more and more roles here in Vancouver. And our career site will always have the most up-to-date opportunities.
Okay, thanks Sharon for this answer. So I will go to the last question by Rashmi, and then Ashley is here. I will give it to her after that. Rashmi has a question. Her journey has been interesting. She was a developer for 2 months and then transitioned to teaching CS in high schools for 5 years. Now she is not a HS teacher anymore, but she is in a managerial position in Microsoft Teams, which she is really enjoying. She wants to add a technical aspect to it. What are some good tools to start? I think this is her question. What are some good tools to start off with, so that if after 3-4 years she wants to get into that technical managing jobs in Microsoft? Who would like to go first?
My thought is Sharon would probably jump on this one since we're talking about more on the industry side, but I can also try to jump in on this too.
Yeah, she's in Teals and she would like to get into more technical managerial jobs in future in Microsoft.
Yeah, I would definitely connect with your manager and have conversations with individuals around. You know, some people may take that route, some may not, but always great to start talking to your manager first, and hopefully find a mentor. And you know, there's a lot of internal courses that we have here at Microsoft and trainings that hopefully you can become a part of. On our learning page, there's probably some courses that you could take, but to get some exact specifics, I guess, to assess what technical level you're at and what you need. If there's a gap, then, you know, you can work with your manager, or they can introduce you to somebody who can put you on that path as a mentor. But then also there could be some managerial roles that aren't so technical either. So that's another piece of it. And so definitely talk to your manager. Again, look at opportunities. If there's a particular product team that you're interested in, I would start talking to managers there, but know that not all roles are completely technical. They're a little bit more hands-off, and we're just looking for great managers. So I would probably start searching there. And like I said, go onto the learning portal and look for some courses that you can take to upskill yourself as well.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. Emmy, you would like to add something?
No, I think that's a great answer. I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue your growth and development at Microsoft, and Microsoft makes a really big investment in that and personal learning, with having like certain days out of the month, conferences internally. And so I think like driving that with your manager and adding that to kind of your plan is going to be a really useful place to kind of grow into that technical space. And then, as Sharon mentioned too, there are opportunities to jump into the technical side without having to, you know, actively code every day.
And
Okay.
actually, Amy brings up a really good point. We strive for internal growth and, you know, keeping our employees. We want you to be successful. We want you to be happy in your career here at Microsoft as well. And we have people that do lateral moves. We have people that get promoted. So, you know, anything that interests you, talk to your manager. We can put you in front of the right people to develop a plan for you to get to your path. And that's one of the things that I feel so proud about working at Microsoft as well, is the opportunity. And because we're so large, you can go any which way that you wanted to. I did notice there was a question on the LEAP program that I think a couple of people have asked that we might have missed. So I just wanted to touch on the LEAP program real quick as well. So we have expanded our LEAP program for those that were asking. At this moment, it is specific to engineering roles, and it is once per year, but that's not to say that there's potential for us to grow that and have maybe multiple cohorts per year, or probably potentially even expand the roles. And that's specifically for Vancouver. So again, everything's on our career site. If there isn't already, there should be a link coming soon talking about the LEAP program on our career site. And like I said, you'll see all our opportunities on our career site for all our different programs.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. And I can see that you already answered about the LEAP program. And so I think we can go to our follow-up question. And after follow-up question, I will hand it over to you, Ashley. Okay, so you can take the last question and then we can go to breakout rooms. The follow-up question is that on Microsoft website, only university degree holders are qualified for the new grads job position. Are diploma holders like her still get a chance? If yes, could you briefly talk about what the tech interview topics would be? Any algorithms? I don't know. So if you can get it, then any of you can ask answer this question. After this question, just one thing, Ashley, you will take over the last question, and then we will go to our breakout rooms. Thank you, everyone.
So I'll quickly jump in with new grad opportunities. Those are specifically for students who have recently graduated from university programs. If you've graduated with a different degree program, you can apply to our industry opportunities, and there are quite a few of them open for any level of experience. So whatever you're looking at within that. As far as topics that our technical interviews will dive in on, so kind of in that collaboration sense, customer focus, drive for results, end-to-end problem solving. And then specifically on the software engineering side, it's going to be really heavy on coding as well, especially for more of the entry-level opportunities, and focus on data structures and algorithms as well. And then data and applied science, there's going to be some statistics, again, on that problem solving, still some coding typically as well. And a lot of times they're really looking at the way that you think when you're answering questions. And so that kind of jumps back to that drive for results section. So while yes, they are looking for you to ultimately get to a solution, the way that you're thinking through your solution and getting to your answers is very important, kind of in any technical interview as well, because they're kind of trying to think of how you would approach a problem if you were in this setting.
Then the only last piece I'll add is about the question around having a completed formal education. We have a ton of people here at Microsoft that are super successful at multiple levels that are self-taught engineers. So to Amy's point, you would apply to industry level roles, and we post industry level roles at every level. So whether you have 1 year of experience or 15 years of experience, we're very open to just strong coders and strong technical engineers. So don't feel like you have to have a formal education, like a degree or a PhD or anything like that. And you'll notice we usually state that we're usually looking for years of experience as a requirement versus a formal education.
Thank you. I'm back now after my internet crashed on me. So I don't know how much of this you covered while I was gone, but our last question was, what suggestions do you have for scientists wanting to transition to industry, and what are your last things you'd like to tell us before we move into breakout rooms?
So I think we've talked a lot about networking, but again, I think it comes down to really kind of trying to network in this space. And then at the point of receiving an interview, just practicing before and getting ready, just because what you're going to do on the day-to-day is slightly different than the way you're going to be asked to answer questions here, right? And so just brushing up on all of that information so that you're prepared when you have that interview. Also having questions ready to ask the interviewers too, right? Because it is a two-way street. You want to make sure that the team and the interviewer and everything like that is a good fit. So I would say, like, ultimately, if you're still in school, internships are a wonderful opportunity. If you're looking for full-time opportunities or internships, really trying to kind of build that network out, whether it's at, opportunities like this, connecting with folks who are recent grads or alumni of your universities, anything like that, it's going to be a good space to jump into.
And the one piece that I'll add is make sure that when you are looking at our opportunities on our career site, whether it's a new grad opportunity or an industry role, make sure that you're reading the job requirements and make sure that you match those requirements that we're looking for and that those are reflected on your resume. So you can imagine we get a ton of resumes for every single job that we post. So the best way for us to understand what your background is through your resume and potentially a cover letter. Cover letters are not necessarily required. I encourage, especially for a lot of new grads, tell us your story a little bit. Doesn't need to be super long, could just be a couple of paragraphs with some details of why you're interested in Microsoft, why this role, and why we should choose you. And then, like I said, just make sure that your resume is accurate, up to date, and addresses or covers the areas that you're actually applying for.
Thank you. So I think we're going to be moving into breakout rooms now, so anyone can ask their questions. Noeen, would you like to?
Yeah, I have now created 2 breakout rooms and all are open. We will have in one room, I think I will assign Amy to room 1 and Sharon to room 2, and then you guys can choose which room you would like to join and ask questions. Okay. Ashley, you can also go to any of one room. I will stay in the main room.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Where's Sharon going? I'll have a question for her.
Okay, you are going to Sharon. Vanita,
Yeah.
Sharon is in room 2. Let me move to room 2. Ashley, you need to go to room 1.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are just waiting for the group of Amy. I think they will be here shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, and I'm looking for the Vancouver group. I can't find it on LinkedIn. Is there a different name?
I can drop the link in the
Please,
chat.
if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. I will just put a spotlight on our panelists and Ashley, and then Ashley, you can just give the closing remarks and closing remarks from our panelists too, and then we can end the session. Okay, I will mute.
Okay, well, our panelists, did you have any closing remarks you'd like to say before I finish this event?
No, I think it's a great session. I know there was a lot of great questions during the breakout room. I wish all of you success. And I think the one piece I'll just say is be patient. Microsoft is, it's super competitive to get into Microsoft, but please don't give up. And that's why I make the comment around, make sure that your resume and your skill set matches what the job is, the posted job, because that's the best chance at getting picked up. And networking, I think for those that are still in school, Amy might be able to answer this, but I don't know if we still come on site, but when we do come on site or we host any types of events at your school, participate as much as possible and try to introduce yourself, but be patient. We're growing quite a bit here in Vancouver and all across Canada. So thank you for all your participation.
I'll second what Sharon said. Excellent questions. I really appreciated everything that we were able to kind of contribute into this setting. And we appreciated your time as well. And I agree with Sharon. It does take a bit, but consistency and patience is going to be a key to success in this space as well as networking. So thank you.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank you very much. I think your comments and your experience has been very helpful for everyone here. And then I'd just like to share a few of our upcoming events. Oh, I can't share my screen, Noeen, but we have another AMA coming up.
I will make you co-host. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have another AMA coming up on October 28th with Sophos Cybersecurity, and as well we have a session about networking on November 3rd. So if you'd like to come to those events, that would be welcome. And thank you everyone for coming to this event as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Have a great day,
Bye.
great afternoon.
Thank you.
Wherever
Bye,
are.
everyone.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.